We go. We're going to start the session. Sorry, if my phone comes to life, I have to jump over and get that. Well, I'd like to introduce our session, Books, Bubbles, and Beakers, Science, the Quirkles, and Fuddlebrook Way, with our co-creators of Quirkles and Fuddlebrook Science, Terry Johnson and Sherry Cook, coming to us live from Springfield, Missouri. So I'll turn it over to you guys.
All right.
I'll
Okay. Thank you, Jake. We so appreciate it. And it's so good to see you or hear you. We certainly miss being at AGATE this year. I think we've been at AGATE. How many years, Sherry, have we done AGATE? Many.
Oh, I've lost track.
Right.
Many.
So, right. Actually, one of the first conferences I think that we went to. So we certainly miss seeing you. So I'm going to be sharing screen back and forth. So kind of bear with me. I'm going to do the best I can. We're learning through this process. But again, it's good to be with you. I'm going to share with you a little bit about what we are as a company. And then we will do some, I'll read a story, and then we were going to do some demos where you can actually see the Quirkles and Fuddlebrook in action. So I'm going to switch you over here to shared screen. So bear with me here and let me get to that pulled up. And let me see what I have. Okay, so book Bubbles and Beakers, Science, the Quirkles and Fuddlebrook Way. So just a little bit about us. We come from a long line of storytellers. Scientists, not so much. In fact, Sherry and I, either one, really love science as kids. And the reason being is because we thought it was boring. It was textbook science. Read the book and answer the questions at the end of the book. However, our parents had a really passion. They were educators as well, passion for storytelling. So we had a dinner table story every night back in the good old days where we actually sat at the dinner table and had dinner together. And our dad would tell us stories, and one story never ended, not even until when he passed away several years ago. So 20 plus years in the classroom, and it started in 2001, started an after school enrichment program where we worked with a lot of gifted students and then partnered to create Quirkles and Fuddlebrook Science Series. What we really found through the programming is that science basically needed to be remarketed. So that is what the Quirkles and Fuddlebrook is built upon. So I often think when I'm presenting, what I can say would be different. And I had a friend call me the other day and she said, Terry, just tell me what I already know. And I thought, isn't that true? We go through all these, different workshops, different educational lingo, but what do we truly already know? Well, one thing that we know that doesn't really need to be stated is that kids need science, and it must be hands-on and interactive in order for it to be engaging. We know that already. We know that science does not have to be over the top to be effective and or fun. If you don't know that, then I hope that we can change your mind today to show you that, because we have seen many times that the simplest supplies can create the biggest reaction. We know that education is the culmination of multiple experiences, whether that be good or bad. Whether they're good experiences or bad, those experiences are what the kids are going to remember. They are not going to remember multiple worksheets. I've never had a kid yet that ever came back and said, Miss Terry, I really loved that worksheet that we did 20 years ago. That has never happened. But I have had multiple students come back and talk about the experiences that we created. And some of those were really simple experiences that we're going to talk about. Maybe something as simple as an antacid and a film canister that I had a Stanford student come back and want to know if he could see the could see that again. So we know experiences are life, remain with us forever. And then concepts plus storytelling equal 20 times more retention. And that's not only in the educational world, but that is in the business world as well. That is actually a quote from the Harvard Business. I know I put journal here, it's actually review, but that was a study done by them that said concepts taught through storytelling, you will get 20 times more retention. So the power of a story. Well, we know Mr. Rogers, and anything that Mr. Rogers says must be good, right? So Mr. Rogers carried a note in his pocket given to him by a social worker that said, frankly, there isn't anyone you couldn't learn to love once you've heard their story. So what does this mean? It means that stories are powerful and stories make us care. And so done that, teaching stories and then teaching concepts through that is a powerful mix. So unfortunately, many of our science classrooms though look like this. And I'm going to switch you out of here so Sherry can get, so I'm going to switch out because Sherry's going to get us back. Just a minute, bear with me. Okay, so I'm going to stop the share. Okay, and Sherry's going to put us in to see a short video. Bear with us here. We're trying to, this shared screen here, we've got it at 2 different computers going on.
The tariff bill, the Hawley-Smoot Tariff Act, which anyone raised or lowered, raised tariffs in an effort to collect more revenue for the federal government. Did it work? Anyone? Anyone know the effects? It did not work, and the United States sank deeper into the Great Depression. Today, we have a similar debate over this. Anyone know what this is, class? Anyone? Anyone? Anyone seen this before? The Laffer curve. Anyone know what this says? It says that at this point on the revenue curve, you will get exactly the same amount of revenue as at this point. This is very controversial. Does anyone know what Vice President Bush called this in 1980? Anyone? Something DOO economics. Voodoo economics.
Okay, so unfortunately, that's how Sherry and I remember science. I hope that's not the case with you, but it was relatively boring. However, what we really strive for is this, and I'm going to put you back on.
In 1930,
No, I'm
controlled House of Representatives.
So what we really, wait a minute, I've got it here.
Right here. I don't mind. Okay, so here's what's gonna happen. See the liquid nitrogen?
Okay,
Let me
Sherry,
get back
Sherry,
to
that.
Stand right here.
Okay.
So here's what's gonna
Sorry.
happen. Liquid nitrogen that's here. So now the liquid nitrogen goes into the bucket. Now we've taken the liberty of putting liquid nitrogen in all of those other buckets. There's 20 liters in each of those buckets.
They're frozen.
Okay?
The
They are
cans
frozen.
are frozen.
They're very, 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 very cold. So now the next part is going to be the best part, and that's this, is that we have really hot water in the buckets, right? All right, so now the hot water will be in the buckets, and then I'm going to, on 3, I go 3, 2, 1, go. We're going to dump the hot water in the bucket, okay? All right, so, good.
Haven't you been through enough tonight?
Hey, put your safety glasses on.
I'm in here.
Well, I'd still put them on if I were you. All right, this is awesome. You guys ready? We'll commence this. I'm going to go 3, 2, 1, go, and we're going to do it. Got it? Ready?
Don't they put their
Okay.
things down?
Shields down. Okay. Pick up your water. Are you feeling good? Feeling good? Here we go. Count us down. 3, 2, 1, go!
Okay, so wouldn't it be wonderful if we could all do that? Unfortunately, that's not really reality in our classrooms. So what is realistic and things that we could do? And so Sherry, show us a video on that.
Okay,
What is our solution for that?
I'm going to show you in a minute.
Okay, Quirkles and Fuddlebrook. So she's going to show us a little bit of that.
I'm going to show it to you when I can.
Okay. Yeah. Okay,
Maybe I'm.
maybe she is.
Talk while I.
Okay, but our solution is science through storytelling. So Sherry, do you want me to just go on with the PowerPoint?
No, I found it.
Okay, she got it. All right, so this is what our solution, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about what Quirkles and Fuddlebrook are.
My name is Sherry Cook.
Do you have it on shared screen, Sherry?
No, not yet.
Okay. I'll just,
I'm getting ready to.
okay. Okay, and just on the record, we did not pay her to say that. So what are, yeah, I promise we didn't pay that little girl to say that. So I'm going to just kind of share with you a little bit about how the books work and what we are. So the Quirkles, and let me take it back here. So what are the Quirkles? Well, we have 26, it's an alpha series. Each book is written predominantly in the letter of its characters. It teaches life, physical, or earth science concepts, all that are aligned to Common Core, next generation science standards, Arkansas standards. Each book has 2 hands-on science experiments in the back of the book that correlate to the stories. So you have your shared reading experience as well as your science all in a storybook. We also have a more Quirkles experiment book, which has 2 more experiments in that. So you basically have 4 experiments per course story. It is designed as a shared reading experience. We really recommend that. However, with your gifted students, if you feel like they would benefit more from reading it silently, but we really think there's a lot of value for the shared reading, a lot of collaboration and questions and opportunities to really enhance those science process skills. Each educator can be flexible in how it's used, if it's going to be driven by the science or the phonics. This is great for your if you're doing your enrichment programs where you're actually going into the classroom for your K1 and 2 students. It is not your traditional scope and sequence. Here are some of the characters where you can get kind of a clearer view of what some of the concepts are. We do have the Spanish version in Corpus as well. Your anti-acid, Halley heat, Ellie electricity, all written predominantly in the letter. We didn't really think that through when we tried to come up with a science concept that started with X. So, but we were so far into the process that that's where we had to really use our problem solving skills. So after years of teachers using the Quarkles, and many of these came from Arkansas, from our Arkansas gifted customers, they were like, we've created these little scientists that have fallen in love with science through storytelling. So what do you have for us next for our older students? And that's when we decided to do the Fuddlebrook Science Series. That is for a little bit of an older student. For gifted, it would be very appropriate, well, even for some first, but definitely for your second and third graders, some fourth. The science is robust, so I hate to give a grade level because, as we know, you can take science as high as you need it to go. So Fuddlebrook centers around a school called Fuddlebrook, obviously Mrs. Wigglebum, Bert, Liza, and Freddie, and of course your talking hamster Herman Twee. We always like to have a little bit of a real fun element in the books. The science is a little bit more complex. The storyline is a little bit more complex. Their characters go throughout the story, so a little bit more character development. As far as how it is used, it's used in a lot the same way. And you have your 2 hands-on science experiments again in the back of the book. We do have free resources for you. Your YouTube, we have many YouTube videos. We also have a free Gilbert Gass download on our website, corkles.com, and a free download of The Case of the Vanishing Moon in Fuddlebrook. So we have the kits, we have the teacher's guides, we have all of those things that are directly linked to your standards. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share a book with you, Inquisitive Inman. So Inquisitive Inman is the book that I generally start with because it introduces that whole concept of what a scientist is. We know that what the science process skills are, and it introduces that. So this is Inquisitive Inman. Each book starts off with this backstory. In a galaxy far, far away named Quark, there lived the Quarkles. The Quarkles were unique little scientists who had vivid imaginations and loved to experiment. One day, the king of Quirk called them together and asked them to travel to a new land called Boresville to share their discoveries with the creatures that lived there. The creatures of Boresville needed help. They lacked imagination and knowledge. Off the Quarkles went. The creatures were so excited with their 26 new friends, they changed the name of their land to Quarksville to honor them. And thus began the many new adventures for the Quarkles and their friends. Inquisitive Inman is an important scientist. He is one of the most intelligent Quarkles. He loves to study interesting insects and gather new information. Inquisitive Inman is the investigator of Quarksville. He uses many science instruments, such as a microscope, to help him instruct all the creatures of the land. One day, Inquisitive Inman received an insistent call from his friend, Izzy Iguana, who was staying at the Quarksville Inn with her infant brother, Ippy. Izzy cried, Inman, Ippy is very ill. Come to the inn immediately. Inquisitive Inman could not imagine what was wrong with Ippy. Inman was afraid Ippy had been injured. He rushed to the inn in a hurry. Inquisitive Inman hoped he could help Ippy improve. When Inquisitive Inman arrived at the inn, Ippy was crying. I am ill and itchy, cried Ippy Iguana. I have indigo spots on every inch of my body. I feel very icky. Inquisitive Inman began to investigate the problem. He looked at Ippy's indigo spots for a long time. He compared the spots to pictures of some he had in a book. Said Inman, these spots are very interesting. Inquisitive Inman analyzed each spot. Ippy was getting irritated. Inquisitive Inman observed each itchy, icky spot. He touched an indigo spot with his index finger. Inman's finger now had an indigo spot. I am going to infer that Ippy is not ill, said Inman. The indigo spots are ink. Ippy has had an incident with indigo ink. Inman instantly rubbed his index finger on Ippy's indigo spots. The spots became invisible. Ippy admitted that he was not ill. He had invented the entire story. Ippy had not meant to be impolite. He just wanted his sister to pay more attention to him. He was incredibly sorry about his joke. Inman and Izzy Iguana used lots of soap to get rid of Ippy's indigo spots. Izzy was relieved that her infant brother, Ippy, was not ill. She thanked Inman for investigating Ippy's problem and invited him to a party at the inn. Ippy and Izzy gave Inquisitive Inman an important gift. It was a box of indigo ink. What an interesting day. The end. Hey, wait, we're not done yet. Turn the page and follow me. There's still much more for you to see. And there's where you have your 2 hands-on experiments that go along with the book. So as you can see, each book is written predominantly in the sound of its character. So you have a lot of alliteration in the books. Whoops. There we go. So we're going to take you then. We have actually filmed a student that we did some experiments with. So we are going to show you a little bit about how that works. But before we do that, anybody need to interject anything or have any questions or grade levels or no? Okay, feel free to jump in if you do. One thing that really I wanted to mention is that we really believe in as a company. One thing that we know about gifted students is that many times they fear failure. And unfortunately, one thing that we can be pretty assured of in life is that we are going to have some failures. So we really feel like it's important that students learn how to fail in a safe environment. And science really lends itself to be able to do that, because I don't know about you, I don't know if we have very many science lovers in the group here or have taught a lot of science, but I know myself personally, I have had a lot of science failures. And the way that you make that work is that you do it over and over again. And you keep trying. And sometimes, and as you're going to see in the video here with Harper, he is a bit hesitant about trying one of the experiments. And the simple reason is that he's afraid it's not going to work. And I suspect that you have experienced that with many of your students, that whole sense of failure. So Sherry, do you want to bring up Harper and let them see a couple of those demos? Now we have a friend that's joined us for our presentation. And what's your name? Harper. Harper, and Harper, what grade are you in? Third grade. And we thought it would be more fun and more interesting if we actually got to do some of the experiments and activities from the Corporals and Fettlebrook books with a student, because Harper really loves what? Harper, what did you tell me earlier? That
Science!
Science, that's right. See how excited he is? He loves science. And Harper, why do you love science so much?
Because I like to make fun crafts.
Likes to make fun crafts and maybe do. So is a really great science lesson, Harper, when the teacher says, now we're going to read the chapter and do the questions in the back of the book.
No.
No, that's not that much fun. What? What's up with that? You don't think that's that much fun? So what is a fun science lesson?
more like creating a lava lamp.
Maybe you got more like creating a lava lamp, more like when you're doing something and not just actually reading about it, but actually getting to participate. Yeah, you think that's fun? Well, okay, well, that's enough for the science lesson now. We're finished. We're not going to do anything. That would be boring, wouldn't it? You think we should do some experiments?
Yes.
I think so too. Well, this first one comes from our Inquisitive Inman book. That's the Purple series. It is in our Morse experiment book. So I always like to start a lesson and in this book right here, more Porkle's experiment book. And this actually, and I don't think we spoke of this earlier, the Porkle series actually has 2 experiments in the books, and then we've done a more Porkle's experiment books, and there's 2 more in the back of that book. So you actually have 4 experiments per core story with the Porkles. So this activity I always like to do at the very beginning of each time that I'm introducing the Porkles, or at the very beginning of the year, just because it gets kids kind of excited about science, and we'll see if Harper gets excited here when we do it with him, because really what we're about is all about creating experiences. I always say this when I talk to groups. I've never had too many kids, and you've noticed what Harper said when he said he enjoyed science. It wasn't the fact that he got to read and do something in the back of a book that he really enjoyed. He loved doing it. I've never had a kid yet come home from school and say, wow, that was the best worksheet we've ever done. That just doesn't really happen. So they will talk about the experiences that they had. Harper, this is really a very simple activity. All you really have to do is observe. Now, do you know what observing means? What does it mean if I say observe?
Look.
That's right.
Closely.
Look closely. That's right. And we know that it's important that a scientist be a good observer, right? Like a good detective, when he walks in, he needs to be very aware of what's going on around him, doesn't he? And very aware of what's in the room, right?
Right.
Right. In fact, one of the science process skills that you'll probably read about later, observation is one of those skills. So we're going to see how good of an observer you are, okay? Are you ready? Now, are you a really good observer? Okay. He says yes. I don't know. We'll see. All right. I'm just going to pour water in this glass. You watched me pour it in there, didn't you? Did you see me pour it in there? And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch around these glasses. I'm going to switch around these cups, and you're going to tell me where your water ended up. Okay? Can you do that? You sure?
Yes.
You're with me.
Yes.
Okay. Here we go. I think you're positive. And I am very fast. Harper, you see how fast I am? You see how fast? Yeah, see, I am super fast. Where did the water end up, Harper? Are you sure? How do you know?
There's a bit of water on the side.
Well, okay. Well, maybe if you were over there, but you're right. Let's see if Harper is correct. Let's pour it in here. Oh, Harper, you were right. You're a very good observer. Round of applause. Okay, I'm gonna go faster this time, Harper. Okay, I mean, I was just messing with you before. I really am fast. Okay, Harper, where's the water? A little trickier that time, isn't it? Where's the water?
That one.
Right here? Are you sure?
Yes.
You're positive? Don't look in. Don't look in. And normally you'd be doing that with there, would be sitting over there. But our setup, you know, we have to make the most of our Zoom situation. Let's see if you're right. You are right. Give yourself a, you are a good scientist. You're a great observer. Okay, this time I really was messing with you. I am fast. And I'm going to move this around super fast. Here we go, Harper. Where'd the water go?
That one.
This one? Are you sure?
Yes.
You're positive.
Yes.
You're positive.
Yes.
How do you know?
Because you were lifting it up very slow, like lower to the table, so it wouldn't spill.
Oh, he does have observation. I think he is going to be a scientist. Well, we'll just see. We'll see. All right. So you think the water's in here, right? So that means you think these 2 cups are empty, correct? Okay, so I'm going to put these right here. And I'm gonna put the last one, the one you think the water is, I'm just gonna set that over and hand that over to Sherry. Okay? Now, Harper, here's the fun part. This is super exciting. This is the fun part. I'm gonna turn these cups down, upside down on your head. Isn't that fun? This is just a fun game, isn't it? Isn't this great? And because I'm gonna do that, Harper, I want you to wear the shower cap. Because, you know, in case you were wrong, we don't want the water to drip down your face and get all over you. Okay? Is that okay? All right, so let's put this on. Now, are we excited now, Harper? Is this fun? This is fun. Okay, you're a good sport. All right, Harper. So if you're right, when I dump this on your head, there's not going to be any water, right? Are you getting one? Take your coat off. Okay, get someone's coat. Okay, now he's not totally sure that he's right. He's already taken his coat off, so it might be a little concerned. All right, so if you're right, Harper, then there's not going to be any water, right? Is that right? Okay. Harper's getting shy all of a sudden. I think he's afraid he's going to be wet. Okay, so here we go. On the count of 3, Harper, I'm going to dump this over. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Oh, no worries, Harper. You're right. Isn't that great? You were right. So no water there. You were right. So let's try this one. On the count of 3, we're going to dump it on your head. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. It's what I love, a very positive sign. Here we go. Ah! And that is good news. You are a great scientist, Harper. Isn't that great? All right. So, Harper, that means the water's here. So what should we do? I think we should just show them that the water's in here, don't you? And you know how I'm going to show them? By dumping it on your head. Don't you think that's a good idea? You don't think it's a good idea? I think it's a good idea. I'll take care of you. Trust me. Trust me, trust me, trust me. Okay. So on the count of 3, here we go. 1, 2, 3. No, wait a minute. Now, wait a minute, Harper. Where's? You're not wet. Let's try it again. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Harper, what? Okay, the water's not here. The water's not here. The water's not here.
I think I might know where.
Where do you think it is?
When Sherry took it, like if it went under the table and she poured it into a different cup,
Ah, you think
but
so?
silently.
Oh, silently. Always the first thing, accusation. They always will accuse you first. You either spilled it somewhere, you drank it, but the finger always points. And that's right. But Harper, I guess I would ask you, do you see that? Do you see
No.
water on the floor?
No,
Does Sherry have water on her?
no.
So that's a good one. What else could be a possibility? What do you think? What else could have happened to the water? What do you think?
It could be in the case with the eggs.
Could be in the case with the eggs, poured it out. What do we know about water? What
It
happened?
can be a solid, liquid, or gas.
That's true. It can be, and in order for it to be a solid, what would it have to happen to the water?
Freeze.
It would have to freeze, and that's a great answer. And we know that water freezes, but is it that cold in here? I mean, we know Sherry tries to keep the utility bill low, but that's ridiculous. Is it that cold in here?
No.
No, it's not that cold in here. I don't think our water, I don't think it's frozen. You? What could have happened? What do you think?
It couldn't have turned to a gas because it would be super duper hot.
Right.
So it's still a liquid.
Yeah, still a liquid. Yet if it's a liquid, why is it not pouring out on my hand?
Because it's empty.
You think this is empty?
Yes.
So as you can see, kids are going to go through a variety of answers. They're going to talk about, like I said, accusations always the first. Then they start talking about the processes that they know about water. In this case, Harper even talked about the states of matter, solid, liquid, gas, which is right, and he's more right than he maybe knows, because we did. Harper, you can take that off. We actually did turn our water into a solid, but it didn't freeze. I know. Let me show you what we did. I actually played a little bit of a trick on you, Harper, in the fact that I had something in the cup. And in the bottom of my cup was a white powder. And as soon as I poured that water in, it turned to a liquid from a solid immediately. Feel that?
It's squishy.
It's squishy because the water just absorbed that powder. It's a super absorbent polymer is what this is. And it is this water gel. Now, Sherry and I do not sell this product. This isn't a product that we make money on. But I am telling you, when I was in the classroom, I would not be without this because you get a lot of bang for your buck. This is about $10.95, I think a can. I get mine from Spangler.com. You can get it other place. It's called water gel, and it will last you forever. This was a teaspoon, and you can use it in so many ways. I love to do it when we're introducing the whole process of what a scientist is, which is our Inquisitive Inman book. So a lot of fun. And do you know where you would find that polymer, Harper? You know where that would be found? In real life? I bet you actually wore that polymer in your day.
Diapers?
That's right. If you cut the lining of a baby's diaper and you shook that out, you would see little white powder come out, and that's what that would look like. And that's what that is. So that's how that is used. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Oh, that's how that's what you use to make fake snow.
Well, it's very similar. The consistency is a little different, but you're right. That is a polymer as well. Now, if I took this and spread this out on a cookie sheet and let it stay there for about 3 weeks, maybe even 4 weeks, it would go back to looking like this white powder. What would have happened to the water?
It would have condensed or
What would the water have done? What does water do?
made the heat would absorb the water, which would get it to a gas.
Okay, and it evaporates. The water evaporates, right? Have you learned about the water cycle and how the water evaporates and goes into the air and then it all starts over again, right? It condenses and evaporates. All right, very good. All right, so that is from, like I said, our Inquisitive Inman book, and you get a lot of bang for your buck with that one. So now, Harper, we're going to do one of my favorites, and this is from Mary Motion. Now, this one is really quite simple in that we have a glass with water, a metal pie pan, a toilet paper tube. Notice it's empty, so that's good. And guess what we're going to put on top of that?
An egg.
An egg. That's right, an egg. And guess what I'm going to challenge you to do? Any guesses?
Try to make that in the water.
Man, you are so smart. That is correct. I am going
I
to.
do not think I'm gonna get it.
Oh,
Well, I hope you
you
get it
got
since you're in my kitchen.
You have to have a positive attitude. Now, Harper, there was a man a long time ago. He was super smart. He was a scientist and a mathematician, kind of like what you're going to be. And his name was Sir Isaac Newton. Have you ever heard of him? No, you have heard of him? Well, Sir Isaac, the story goes, although many people say that this is a legend, not true, but the story goes is that Sir Isaac was sitting under an apple tree one day, and that an apple fell from the tree, and Sir Isaac Newton was like, something made that apple fall and just keep falling down. And we know that why does something that goes up have to come down? What is the force that makes that come down?
Gravity.
Gravity. So Sir Isaac Newton was like, there has to be a force that is making that apple come down. And he also said, another thing I've noticed is that an object is not going to go anywhere unless there is a force that acts upon it. I mean, I need that egg to move. You think if you called to that egg that it would fly up and move to you? You want to try it?
No.
No, you don't? Yeah, because I really think that'd be silly, don't you? I don't think that egg is going to go anywhere. The only way that egg is going to move is what?
The force.
And guess who's going to get to be the force in this case?
Me.
You're going to get to be the force, but it's going to have a force. Otherwise, that egg is going to stay there all day, all night, and for the rest of our life if there's not a force that acts upon it, right? So you're going to be the force. So the question is, Harper, what kind of force are you going to be? You're going to need to, basically, you're going to have to get that pan out of the way, right? And you can't touch the glass. You can't touch the toilet paper tube. You can't touch the egg. And you can touch the pan, but you can't grasp it. You get one touch, and then that's it. So you can, in other words, you can't just pick up the pan and dump the egg in. So you're going to have to be quite the force. What do you think about that?
Trying to push it fast, and that would make the toilet paper roll fall, and the egg try to land in the water.
I think you might be on something. You play tennis ever, Harper?
No.
Okay.
I just seen a video like
You've
this.
just seen a video like this. Well, I hope they were ours. So that's true, because we do have a lot of these out there. That's right. But you've seen a video. I like the fact that you're watching science videos. That is correct, because follow through is important in this deal. Now, Harper, oh my goodness, what if the egg doesn't go in the glass?
Then it would fall and break.
It's going to fall and break. And oh my goodness.
But if it's a boiled egg, then
Yeah, I got bad news for you.
what?
It's not. It's not a boiled egg, and we'll talk about that in a minute. It's not a boiled egg, but what if it doesn't? What if it cracks on this counter?
That would make an enormous mess.
It would make a gigantic mess. But is the sky going to fall in?
No,
So what do you think we should do if it falls and cracks on the counter?
just clean it up.
We'll have Sherry clean it up. And so we'll have Sherry clean it up, and then what should we do?
Try again.
Absolutely. We don't care if you get a mess. Sherry's going to clean it up, right? So we would just keep trying again, right? So if it doesn't work, maybe we should just try it again. So what do you think about doing that? You want to show us? Yeah, I think so. Why don't you try? You try, and if it doesn't work, then I'll try. How's that? And I bet you can get it. And if you don't, big deal, right? So why don't you just put your hand about right here, and let's see if you can be a mighty force and knock that egg in. And don't be too shy. Just knock that in, and I bet you can do it. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh my goodness. Look at it. He got it. How's that feel, Harper? Does that feel pretty good? That feels amazing. Ta-da! He got it. You were a great force. His first trip. Now, Harper, I got to ask you. You've been practicing this on the side.
No.
You sure?
Uh-uh.
No way. He's just a naturally good scientist, I guess. So as you can see, sometimes there is a little bit of intimidation with that. Oftentimes teachers will ask me, does it have to be a raw egg? And the answer to that is no. There are other objects that you can use. I'll be honest.
Like a ball?
Well, if it was the right, you can use one of those cutie oranges. That's about the right size. You can also even use a plastic Easter egg, and you can change this from an activity to an inquiry-based lesson, because obviously the amount of force that's going to be placed upon the pan is going to be different with the weight of your egg. Now, I will tell you honestly why I use the raw egg, because I think it adds a level of excitement to the students. I mean, nothing that they would like better than to see that egg splatter all over the teacher's desk, quite honestly. So I think it's just more fun. Now, I know sometimes there's concern about raw eggs, and you could either have your kids wear gloves, or if that's such a concern to you, then you could use the oranges or plastic eggs. Or, you know, I have never tried it with hard-boiled eggs, but I'm assuming that it would work. Have your plastic Easter eggs, your cutie oranges, your hard-boiled eggs, and see about the amount of force. Also, you can use different size pans. I was at a workshop one time. I actually forgot my pan, and I asked the little lady in the kitchen if I can borrow one, and bless her heart, she went and got me one, but it was like this big. So I had someone volunteer to want to try to do it, and it worked. So there's all kinds of ways that you can take this and make it an inquiry-based lesson. But trust me, the kids love it. And if you want to make the dinner table and not just be a worksheet, do activities like this, and I can promise that you will make the dinner table because they love it. All right. Okay, so that was just kind of an example of a couple of experiments that we have. We could go on and show you more. I'm sorry that we're not live in person, so you could actually do some demos. We've had a lot of fun with having the teachers come up or doing the experiments at the tables in groups. But these are great for collaboration with the students as well. I can always tell if it's been a good lesson because you can break them up in small groups and you can hear the voice level go higher and higher and higher, and the excitement get greater within the classroom. So I think at this point, I know we have just a few minutes left. I believe about 4 minutes left, Jake. If there are any questions, if there are any questions, then otherwise we will just wrap it up with one final activity. Can I answer anything for you? Okay, well, again, all our materials are online, corkles.com, fettlebrook.com, and they should be on the schedule on the page as well, are all of our product catalog. So until we can meet in person again, this is what I like to use this is a connection tube or one of those tubes. I like to use these. I don't know if you can see it or not. But this, I like to use it in the classroom. Not only do we correlate this to our LE electricity book, but I hope that, again, because apart we are not great, but together we can be great again. And I hope that we are together again soon and that we are doing this live again soon. Another kind of fun demo here. This is acetone. So I just kind of did a story. So I'm gonna put acetone, and this acetone is straight acetone. So if you get it, it's what my nail lady loves. And then I just put this is a styrofoam cup, and I put COVID-19 on this styrofoam cup because this is what we're wanting to happen to COVID-19 real soon. I'm gonna put the styrofoam cup in the acetone, and hopefully this is what's going to happen to COVID-19 real soon. It is going to all go away. So great. And then of course it takes it back to its original state, which is a polymer. The kids love that. Do not put that down your sink. It will harden and you will have to have a plumber come and chisel that off your sink. I'm maybe speaking from experience, possibly. So anyway, those are great demos that you can use with the kids. So have a great day. Again, if you have questions, feel free to email us. We'd be happy to answer those for you. Enjoy your conference, and we hope to see you in person soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Sherry and Terry. I want to remind all the conference goers that you've got an hour break for lunch. I believe the next sessions start at 12:15. So enjoy your lunch, and don't forget your bingo cards. Those have to be turned for today, and also make sure you visit all the vendor sessions. Anyway,
All right. Thank you.
nice to meet you guys. I was going to say have a safe trip, but you're home, so don't worry about it. Okay.
Bye-bye. Thank
So
you.
long. Oops. Stop recording. Ah. Oops. Oops. Okay. What was that? Stop recording. There we go.